Hi folks, welcome to this video on social facilitation. So this is a sports psychological topic. Again, it's to do with self-confidence. So this is one of those topics, it's like self-efficacy. It's a factor that can affect our self-confidence. And basically, in a nutshell, it's how one of these affects our confidence, a crowd. Okay, so the effect of a crowd on performance. And there are technically two things we can say about social facilitation. So if we want to get really technical, technically social facilitation is the crowd benefiting your performance. So the crowd has a positive impact on your performance. Whereas a crowd hindering your performance is known as social inhibition. They inhibit you. They stop you from working effectively. So they're the two key definitions. The point is though, if they ask you about social facilitation, mention both. Because the crowd is going to have either a positive or a negative effect on your performance. Okay. It's also worth pointing out that who is making up this crowd. There are various things that we can say. We could say that the crowd is definitely the audience, i.e. the spectators, people who've paid to come and watch, but also the TV audience as well. But you've also got people called co-actors. Okay, now the co-actors are things like teammates, because they're going to be watching you as well when you're on the ball or when you're in possession or something like that. We've also got competitive co-actors. As you'd expect, if they are competitive, they're going to be your opponents. Okay? And we've also got a group of people called social reinforcers. Very posh term for coaches and coaching staff. Remember, they're the people who reinforce your behaviour, praise you when you do it right, punish you when you do it wrong, those kind of things. So they're the two key definitions: social facilitation, the crowd benefiting performance; social inhibition, the crowd hindering your performance. And these are the people who make up that crowd. Now there's a link here between this and arousal, the theories of arousal. Now we can quickly draw the two key theories of arousal that we've looked at. Okay, you should be able to identify that as drive theory. Okay. So there we've got two key psychological theories. We've got drive theory: as arousal increases, performance gets better. The likelihood of producing a dominant response increases. That's what I should say. And inverted U, I've drawn two inverted U's, really to highlight a key point. I'm just about to bring in a picture now to show what I mean. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link these two to what's going on down here, but particularly drive theory. As you can see here, the presence of others, i.e. the crowd, causes an immediate increase in our arousal levels. Okay? That increases, in terms of drive theory, the chance of me producing my dominant response. Now here's the thing: if my dominant response is correct, that is going to lead to social facilitation. My performance will improve. If my dominant response is incorrect, I'm going to get social inhibition. Now this is what we call the Yonk's model. Now what is it basically saying? It's saying that experienced performers want higher arousal levels, because an experienced performer's dominant response is likely to be correct. They've done it time and time again. They know what they're doing. Whereas inexperienced performers, chances are they want a smaller crowd, or no crowd, or a crowd that's further away, because their dominant response is likely to be incorrect, so therefore they want lower arousal levels. Similarly, if you looked at it inverted U, there's your zone of optimum functioning for performer 1, there's your zone of optimum functioning performer 2. You know, this would be a novice inverted U, this would be an expert inverted U. The novice wants a lower arousal level to get the best performance, the expert wants a higher arousal level to get the best performance. So that is the Yonk's model in relation to social facilitation. So there are a few things we can say. We can say about the definitions of social facilitation and social inhibition. We can say who makes up the crowd, and we can talk about the Yonk's model. Expert performers want higher levels of arousal because, according to drive theory, the higher the arousal level, the more likely you are to produce your dominant response. And if you are expert, your dominant response is more likely to be correct. Okay, if you are a beginner, novice, something like that, your dominant response is likely to be incorrect. Therefore, you want a lower arousal level, because high arousal created by a big crowd, your dominant response is likely to be incorrect, and that's going to lead to social inhibition, a negative effect of the crowd on your performance. There are a couple of other quick things we can say about social facilitation, so we'll look at them now. Now, this is an image of Barron's distraction conflict theory. Okay, so again, what you've got here is you've got the presence of others, i.e. the crowd. Okay, then you have a conflict because that crowd can distract you, and you've also got the distraction of the task. Now, what we need to get increased arousal so we get improved performance, and what I'll do there is write what we're talking about there. Don't forget that improved performance is social facilitation. Okay, what we need to do is focus on the task and ignore the audience. So what Barron's distraction conflict theory says is we must do that to the crowd. Okay, because what's happening is the reason we have conflict is we're being distracted by the crowd and the task. We must only focus on the task if we are to get our increased arousal and therefore our highest level of performance. So to sum it up, Barron's distraction theory says the performer gets distracted by the task and the audience, so the performer must ignore the audience and focus on the task to get social facilitation. Okay, so that's what Barron's distraction conflict theory says. So finally, this one, evaluation apprehension theory. Now again, like Barron's distraction conflict, distraction leads to conflict. Okay, evaluation apprehension, you become apprehensive when you feel like you are being evaluated. The classic example there is when a talent scout has come to see you play, see you perform, to see if you are good enough to sign up to a contract or something along those lines. Okay, so again, what does it state? So it states that others are only going to have influence over the performer if the performer feels they are being judged or evaluated. It's that classic one. Let's say you're in charge of a team and somebody's coming down to look at your goalkeeper, your wing attack, something like that. You know, from a national team. Do you tell them that the national scout is coming down? Now, there's no right or wrong answer there. You've got to know your athlete and think, right, are they going to suffer with evaluation apprehension theory, or are they going to be able to cope with it? If they feel like they're being judged and evaluated, it could lead to social inhibition. Equally, it could lead to social facilitation. They're just things that we need to be aware of. Okay? So I guess the ultimate question is, how can we develop social facilitation? They're the problems of it. That's, we want social facilitation. We don't want social inhibition. Now, there are various strategies we can do to help develop social facilitation, and here they are. So there's a lot of information there, but just take it one at a time. How can we develop social facilitation? Mental rehearsal, imagery. Rehearse the techniques in your mind. That's going to allow you to stay calm and give you exact focus on what you need to do. These two relate to Barron's distraction theory that we spoke, Barron's distraction conflict theory. Train in front of a crowd, and that will allow you to improve your selective attention. And if you remember what that is, selective attention, focus on the important things, i.e. the task, and block out the irrelevant things, i.e. the audience. And that's going to also develop social facilitation. We can reduce the importance of the event. It's that classic go out there and enjoy yourself comment, i.e. it's about fun and enjoyment, not about getting, beating yourselves up and putting too much pressure on yourself. Any coach can offer verbal encouragement themselves, and also support from their teammates is also going to boost social facilitation, particularly this one if you've got someone making their debut and they might be a bit worried about performing in front of the crowd. Well, get the teammates supporting them. Okay? What else can we do? We can use cognitive and somatic control techniques. Okay? So we can use thought stopping, positive self-talk, cue utilisation, progressive muscle relaxation, censoring, all those things to try and calm down. Remember, what causes social inhibition, social facilitation, is an increase in arousal. We don't want that arousal to spill over into anxiety. If it does, that's when we're going to get social inhibition. Okay? If you go back to your attributions theory, using the correct attributions, when they do something right, it's about your ability and effort. When you do something wrong or you get B, it was task difficulty and luck. Getting them the right way around is going to boost social facilitation. And finally, coming back to what we mentioned on the yonk. Oops, sorry, put my pen on. Making sure that skills are well learned or overlearned so that our dominant response is correct, so that when our arousal gets high, we perform the technique correctly. Okay? There's one other topic we can look at to do with social facilitation, this idea of Homefield Advantage. Does it actually exist? Is there such a thing as Homefield Advantage? Now, this is one of those classic discuss questions, so we can go into the brackets of agree that it does exist and disagree, and that's sometimes what they might get you to do. Okay? So what we're going to look now just really quickly is at the brief, the comments in either side of the argument. So what we've got in the agree argument is the home support generally creates more social facilitation. They're encouraging the support of the home team. We generally see across all sports, across all venues, across all countries, more matches and medals are won at home games, home matches, than they are at away ones. Okay? The crowd generally has a negative effect on the away team because of the booing and things like that. And there's also the issue of unfamiliar surroundings of away venues, and that can also hinder your performance. You don't know the setup, you don't know the layout, you don't know the layout. Staying away from home can sometimes lead to a bit of homesickness, things like that. So they're all arguments that say that there is such a thing as home field advantage. However, there are issues that say there is no such thing as home field advantage. So let's have a quick look at those. So despite the fact that we're playing at home, we've actually got more pressure from the home crowd. Okay? Your supporters outnumber them, which is an advantage to some extent, but there's now more pressure to do well. They have greater expectations of you. You're expected to win home games. Away games, sometimes you're happy with a draw, but you're expected to win home games. Because these fans, these crowds, see you week in, week out, if they come to you, if the whole season tickets, there's more evaluation apprehension theory. They evaluate you more. They don't just come and watch the game. They compare you to the previous week, to other players on the pitch. There's greater evaluation apprehension theory. And there's also the potential for a choke effect. You are expected to play more attacking styles when you're at home. When you're playing at home, you're not supposed to sit back and defend. That's for the away team to do. So it's an expectation that you're going to play a more attacking style, and that can lead to a bit of a choke effect. Okay, so I hope you found this video useful, folks. That covers all aspects of social facilitation.